for oral motor exercises, for speech clarity and for feeding. These are the two things I'm going to cover today because speech and feeding is linked. Now, if I were a therapist, like my friends here working on their physical therapies, I can take their hands, move it, use their fingers, give things and get them to work. But speech muscles are really tiny. You can't pull them and work with them. You have to work with them wherever they are, and that's the reason that feeding is very important. Because while a child is feeding, the tongue is retracting, the tongue is moving to the sides, the tongue is going around, the lips are closed, lips are open, lips are stretching, the jaw is moving. All these muscles that are really small are worked on. Yes, we do have massages, but that alone will not be sufficient. We need to go more deeper. So for your speech therapy to be successful, there are a few things that we need to look into. First is the health of the child. If the health of the child is in place, whatever therapies you're going to do is going to be fruitful. But if the child is not feeling well, sometimes I tell my parents, if your child is not feeling well, don't bring them for therapy. Because he's not going to learn anything there. First is the health. Ensure that the child is healthy. And then everything else will fall in place. Then is the sensory challenges. Most of our children have hyposensitivity and some of them have a mixed hypersensitivity. I will tell you what these are in detail. We will be working on that as well. I have slides where I will be explaining sensory in detail. Then it's their physical and motor development. It's their feeding. I already spoke to you about feeding, why we need to work on feeding, and giving them more learning opportunities. Like, today we had a conversation with Rekha ma'am. We were saying that, the child has to go outside, pick some leaves, see what different colors of leaves are there, what different textures they are, collect them, maybe paste them, do something with that. So you're giving the child sufficient learning opportunities. He can explore his speech skills with. Whatever he's learned, he could explore it with. So these skills are important. So we have just covered, I have a friend, they're busy taking pictures of me at the back. Okay, so with that we move into the next slide. With speech, like I mentioned in the previous slide, we need to work on their sensory aspects. Now, if a food is placed in my mouth, I must first know that there's something in my mouth. If I don't know I have food in my mouth, I'm not going to chew it, right? So we all assume that when something is in someone's mouth, they feel it. They may not be feeling it. I see all of you having handbags and I see some of you having pens. So we just have a small exercise. If you could just have your dupatta or a kerchief around your hands. This is one of the exercises we did in the sensory integration program. So put this around your hands. And try lifting something that is near you. Anything, pick up anything that is next to you, right? If you have a purse, you can open the zip with something on your hand. That is interesting, more interesting. Okay, now put that back and take it with your bare hands. Which was more easier, the first or the second? The second, right? You could feel it the way it is. But if I don't feel it the way it is, how much will I explore it? Will I explore it at all? No, because I'm afraid it's going to fall. Or I don't feel it the way I should feel it. Or I don't even know sometimes. It depends on the severity. Now that is hyposensitivity. You don't feel the way you ought to be feeling it. So there's awareness which is very limited. And with that amount of limited awareness, obviously the child will not be able to feel where their tongue is moving, where their lips are moving. Are they able to feel their palate, the structure on top or the roof of your mouth? So these concerns will hold our children back from feeding and from speech. So that is to do with hyposensitivity. Now, so I'm talking about the first part, which is awareness. Tactile hypotonia we finished. I'm going to hypertonia, the first one. Hypersensitivity is a condition where the child feels everything too close. You know, what is natural or normal for you, so-called normal, we all have some challenge or the other. If you see, my sensory level will not be the same as yours. We'll all have differences, but since it is the majority, it's called normal. Hypersensitivity, the child will be either feeling everything more strongly. Sometimes it can be even painful for them. They may not be able to express it and tell you that I am feeling painful, but maybe it is painful for them. That's why they push you away. Maybe that kind of food that you put in their mouth is very ticklish. Maybe the sound they make makes them feel very ticklish. They don't want to say it. So there's a reason why your child does not want to do what you have asked them to do. So you must always ensure that your child is comfortable. Then is the mixed tactile sensory challenge that we have, where hypersensitivity and hyposensitivity are present together, put together, which means predominantly the child can be hyposensitive, but there may be pockets of hypersensitive. Some areas suddenly can become very sensitive. So maybe the lips are hyposensitive, but the cavity, the muscles inside are hypersensitive. Next is the fluctuating tactile sensitivity, where one day the hypersensitivity is really high, the other day it's down. It keeps fluctuating. Now when it's fluctuating, for therapists as well as for parents, it's a big challenge, because you can't predict the child's sensory challenge. Every day it's going to be fluctuating, it's going to be difficult, but with consistent oral sensory motor therapy, this will get settled. Then is the tactile defensiveness. Now in oral motor, when I say tactile defensiveness, when I say defensiveness, you know, right, you don't want something, you defend yourself or you push something away, that's defensiveness. Oftentimes, oral tactile defensiveness is induced by the caretaker. Unknowingly, not unknowingly or knowingly, we as parents always want our children to eat. I mean, that's good. We want our children to be nutritious and, you know, well fed and healthy. We want their weight to be within normal limits, and, you know, it is good. But when we force feed them textures they don't like or taste they don't like, we get them to get defensive. They don't want anything near their mouth. They just want to push us away. And as therapists, I think we need to be careful as well while we are working with them. If we are not careful to sense, we're not sensing the information the child is giving you, and it's going to be one way, we can cause more harm than help for the kids. So as a therapist, when you're working, it is very important that you always look into the child's eyes, because the eyes speak louder than the words. Look into their eyes and see if the child is feeling very hypersensitive, and is the child getting defensive because of that. Get sensitive into those, and definitely there'll be so much more success in therapy than having it one way. Allow them to communicate with you.